Hi, this is Jameson from jnphoto.biz, and I am here to tell you how to get a little bit more out of your internet connection for hopefully not too much more money. I live in the middle of nowhere, and the fastest internet connection that I can get is 6 megabits. Now, that doesn't seem too bad, but with some DSL providers, you can get what's called a Second Connect DSL line, which is a second internet connection that runs at the full speed that your first one does, for only about $15 a month more. This happens with Frontier primarily, but I think some other companies have it too. So you would think, okay, well, what good does 2 internet connections do me? Well, initially not very much, but if you use a server to combine the internet connections with something called gateway grouping, it does quite a bit. Let me show you. I'm going to go to a speed test site. And we're going to select a server that's pretty near to me. I'm here in Indiana over here. I'm going to select this one in Carmel. With gateway grouping, I'm getting almost 11 megabits per second, and I sometimes see up to 13. I'll show you that here in a second. This is a speed test through my internet provider. And as you can see, I'm pulling significantly more bandwidth than my individual internet plans are, which is about 6 megabits down and about 0.7 megabits up. So I'm almost doubling everything. Now here's how it works. I have a pfSense server that's running on my network, and it's running version 2.0.2 for a 32-bit architecture. This is running on a really old computer. It's a P4, 2 gigahertz, and it only has about 256 megs of RAM. And here we can see that I have a LAN and 2 WANs. WAN number 1 is connected via PPPoE through my internet provider, as is the second through a second modem. The LAN is just a normal Class C address. Now, if we go over to my gateways, you can see that both of my WAN connections are up. This is the gateway that I'm connected through Frontier, and these are monitor IPs. If for some reason the pfSense server cannot ping one of these monitor IPs, it will reset the connection. I also have a gateway group. This is what allows me to do the higher bandwidth stuff like this. I create the multi-gateway, and I, in a sense, bridge the 2 of these WANs together. I go into my firewall rules for LAN. I create a custom rule to allow passing of any data from the LAN through this gateway. I can either choose the original gateway, the second gateway, or the multi-gateway. The multi-gateway is the gateway group that I created to use both of the WAN connections. If we go to System Routing, we can see under Groups, in my multi-gateway, I have both of these set as a Tier 1. If you set these as a Tier 1, or you set them as a Tier 2, as long as they're the same, you will do load balancing in a sense. It's WAN load balancing. And if you set one of these as tier 1 and one of these is tier 2, or one is tier 2 and one is tier 3, as long as they're different, then you'll have failover, which means that if one link goes down, the other one takes over. And it doesn't necessarily have to go down, just if you have a bad connection. So this is if the first link goes down, this is if you have significant packet loss, this is if you have high latency, and this is both. I chose packet loss or high latency, but since I'm doing them as the same tier, it doesn't really matter. And then this is just a description. So by doing this, even on this really old computer that I put pfSense on, I'm able to obtain these really high download speeds from reasonably low speed connections. And since it doesn't cost that much more to get the second DSL line installed, I figure it's worth it. If you'd like to learn more about installing a pfSense server, go to pfsense.org, click Downloads, then click the Mirrors page. Click the mirror that's closest to you. For me, that's New York. And then scroll down to the version of pfSense that you want to install. If you go with a live CD, you can get an x86 version for 32-bit processors and an AMD 64 version for Intel and AMD 64-bit processors. These will run off disks. You can also use flash drives or other compact media to install the same or run them live from a flash drive with these images. There are also nanos for embedded systems. pfSense is a really powerful version of Linux, and I really, really like it. I have to say that if you're looking for a powerful router that can use your older connections and older computers to give you decently modern internet, I would suggest it. Besides, it's free. This has been Jameson with JNPhoto.biz, helping you to get the most out of your crappy internet connections.